Good evening. This scene tonight in Newshaven is takes place 25 minutes after Stefan has left the last resort after getting some rather distressing news. He's decided that tonight's as good a time as any to visit the church to attempt to see if Miss Duval is available to speak about the events in Fletcher and about a lot of other things that has been on Stefan's mind for the last month or two. And traffic has been hit and miss. But at this point, the cab pulls up in front of the church. Stefan gets out and pays the driver, giving him an okay tip, and heads toward the doors of the church, giving a gentle but audible knock. That's when the scene will open.
The doors are open for you by Father Rodrigo.
Yeah.
He goes ahead and lets you in. He kind of, if you ask him where Celine is, he'll go ahead and point to, the back of the church and our prayer room. And just, he doesn't follow, he just points in that direction.
I nod respectfully to the father. Thank you. And begin heading back there.
Okay, well, you mean you go through the main church and into the back?
Yeah, into the side chapel
room. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you go through the hallway in the back there too, and none of the doors are really open or anything. You don't hear anything or nothing. Excuse me.
Make my way down the hallway some distance, and into the small private prayer room. Believe it's sparsely decorated, pretty much.
Well, I mean, the door is shut, so and you can't just walk in.
Oh, right. Not that I would want to anyway. What am I thinking? Let's not screw up now. We'll get the wrath of the mother there. Mm. Stefan will very gently knock 3 times.
Okay. Well, it's quiet at first, and then later you hear just a quiet. Come in.
Door opens. Stefan walks through, closing it behind him quietly.
Again, and as stated before, the prayer room is small. It has a small altar with a lot of candles in front. Quite a few of them are lit right now. Celine is just kind of standing there. She's not kneeling or praying or anything. She's just kind of standing in front of the altar for the moment. And when you enter, she kind of turns to you. Yes, Mr. Braunfiedler. How can I help you this evening?
Thank you, Primogen, for allowing me in, spur of the moment audience. He walks forward and takes a seat on one of the benches.
She remains standing, but she doesn't mind that you're sitting.
Well, first and foremost, I wanted to apologize for transgressions about a month ago. I have given it a lot of thought. I have no disrespect or ill will to any of the Tremere. Of course, most respects to Primogen of that bloodline.
I see.
Um, I have accepted the error, the error of that I made, but there are more current concerns that
Well,
confuse me.
we'll get to those in a minute, Mr. Braunfiedler. Tristan did come to see me and told me about this. I will have you know if I hear of such transgressions again against Tristan and his progeny, his childer. I do believe he will destroy you, and I will not stop him. You understand, correct?
I do. He made it very clear to me, um, and I have begun to make amends for that mistake. I am doing work for them. I believe it is appropriate that you know
Good.
that, well, the nature of the work is to inform them of any dangers that is posed to any member of the clan premier in the city. And that's any actions that I take that lead to information given to the premier, regardless, are no affronts to anyone else in the city. It is just duty.
She doesn't say anything.
The most recent events, I don't know if you have heard from our esteemed sheriff, Mr. Miller, recently. I was summoned to just outside of Fletcher not too long ago. Less than a week, I believe. And apparently it was to investigate some happenings that are connected with an event on the northern shoreline of the city around the docks.
Yes, I've heard some things about that incident.
Apparently, an entity or multiple entities ended up destroying a large area of the dockland on the other side of the shore. And shortly after, that same entity, I'm assuming, from what I have gathered, took up residence in Fletcher, driving a strange entity, a shape-changing woman.
A shape-changing woman.
She initially approached the group I met with as a wolf.
I see.
Apparently, Sheriff Miller took no threat, so obviously that is okay.
And where is she from?
Apparently, she resides in Fletcher, or did reside until recently. I
see.
sat in on a gathering to listen to some events that it happened, and apparently she was expelled by a strange entity in armor.
How?
She she said that she was within her haven there, I believe, and she simply was forced out, like somebody pushing against your shoulders. And when she tried to go back, the same thing happened again. She ended up outside of the town.
Go on.
So, Sheriff Miller told her that in the meantime, ask her if she would uphold the tenets and traditions of the Camarilla. She agreed, not without some reservations, I think. I don't believe she wanted to agree. She had to.
No, I doubt she did.
But I recognized her. I've seen her before, just not. Well, she had different hair color. I know her as Val.
Val. Is that what she's calling herself these days?
I believe so. Though I'm used to. I'm not used to being privy to information unless I take it for myself.
Of course.
So he assured her that he would assist her with a group of kindred in the city to see if some kind of accord could be struck with this entity. And I was one of four, not including Val, called. Matt of Glenbruja was there, and there was another, the name escapes me, as well as Zachary Volater of Glenventru.
Hmm.
Was it was a rather disturbing experience. We encountered many small shadows, most of them with faces that you could make out detail in, though none recognizable. They surrounded us until they coalesced into a greater shadow. When we entered the city, apparently the townsfolk were quite amicable toward us, including the sheriff. There was no concern, there was no fear, there was nothing that would normally break the masquerade.
They
It
saw his
was
face, but they thought nothing of it.
nothing at all.
Go on.
We made our way to the church. There were several craftsmen constructing pillars of mostly marble, some of granite, basalt. I'm quite familiar with this material. All throughout the town. We approached the church in Fletcher, and it was undergoing the same type of renovation. Slowly, when we entered, it was not too long after that a shadow, a darkness, impenetrable by light, enveloped us all, enveloped the room. It's again coalesced around the statue of volcanic glass, statue of a figure in armor. When this was done, the statue changed, or had changed, and had come to life.
You could see in her face ever so slightly, even though she overall looks rather placid and I guess maybe nonplussed, ever so slightly, you see a little bit of a twitch in her eyebrow. It seems like she's trying really hard not to express too much right now.
Um,
Continue with your story, Mr. Braunfiedler.
well, the entity had introduced itself, and over the course of the conversation, it knew each and every one of us by clan identity, but identities that I have never heard. He introduced himself as Apollyon of Corinth, of Tunisia, of Greece, of Rome, and finally, after many titles, Apollyon the Traveler.
Apollyon.
Yes. Is this name you have heard?
No.
No. Well, he also recited quite a lineage. He, Stefan, there's a worried look that comes over his face, a concern, a doubt even. It all shifts very fluidly. He, I cannot remember all of the lineage. There was a lot to take in. But his parentage is included that of something called Erebus, and creation was the last in line, the oldest.
I've never heard of Erebus.
I am not surprised. I don't believe most have, unless you were to go far back into history, of which I am not an expert, unfortunately.
And then he claimed that his sire was the creator.
Not sire, parent, and it was creation itself. He made references to the Christian God, the God of the Christians and the Jews.
Yes.
He was surprised that that entity had survived, that a mongrel could survive uncountable eon. pleasantly, at least I think. Um, when he made references to us um, and looking for introductions, as is appropriate, he referred to Mats as a philosopher king, a Bruja. It's odd.
Perhaps to you.
Well, I was always told, I was taught to beware of their tempers.
Oh, yes. The Bruja have always had tempers.
Apparently, they have had more than that. But he referred to him as a Carthaginian, which is odd. I know by Mutt's first name, Ruben, he is obviously of Puerto Rican descent.
Yes.
When I made my introduction, he referred to me as a seer and prophet. I did not understand that. I am not a. This is this is not what I am.
No, I suppose not, but these are old words. Sounds like this Apollyon is quite old.
Yeah, I did not understand, but I had a feeling like I knew more than I know, and it was disconcerting. It was like something in my blood was pulling, but it was not explaining.
Hmm. Yes, I've felt that feeling before as well. You should listen sometime.
I did Primogen. I tried to listen to everything he had to say, tried to absorb everything he had to say. We had made our introductions, and he in turn asked us how we survive in the modern night. And I believe that each one of us responded, to my knowledge, as is appropriate to how each bloodline would be taught about what they are specifically. The descriptive traits were very much Bruja and Toreador and Ventru, and then for myself, as best I could.
Hmm.
It was quite strange. He made mention that he was looking for someone or something. He called it Uzanet,
Fusamnet.
the earthbound womb,
Hmm.
an entity of change.
That is another name I do not know.
It seems to refer to what science has explained as evolution.
Ah, a being That's the embodiment of such a scientific theory seems quite strange.
He referred to it as an entity. I asked him what or who, and that is the description. Those were the two most apt. There were many more.
Of course. Is there anything else, Mr. Braunfiedler?
Mention of a name, Montaños, was chief amongst these. Something about an uprising. I believe it coincided with Apollyon speaking with the Bruja. He asked, what of the fiends of Carpathia? Of which I am completely confused.
As I said, he speaks of very old times.
Yeah. I suppose when you introduce yourself fully as a god of stories of the sun and a lot of shadows, there's a lot of catching up to do. It was not a non-violent emergence, as I have gathered. There were two who died in the process of him coming into the world. Waking up, I believe, was the reference. One was a man, I am assuming, that is very close to the sheriff, a Mr. Bragg.
He's gone.
Destroyed, dragged into the ocean depths. I don't know specifically how.
She actually looks rather remorseful for when you say that. And who else?
I am not sure that the identity of the other person was not made entirely known. I believe one of the other names that was mentioned in all of this was a Dario, a padre, a priest that was around this church.
Yes. I know of a Dario.
I have not heard anything of his whereabouts since.
Well, it may make things a bit clearer. But the sheriff, how is his disposition to this? What do you call it? Entity.
Well,
was he angry that he destroyed his child, or was he in awe? Was he respectful?
He was
he belligerent?
He was angry. When it was mentioned by the Ventro, Mr. Voltaire, the sheriff cut him off abruptly. Authoritatively, not disrespectfully. But when he regarded Apollyon, it was calm, respectful, very befitting of a man of his stature and position. Apollyon also granted myself and only the other neonates, including the sheriff, one of our elders, permission to return to Fletcher at any time. Just us. And in return for this, he mentioned that I believe there is some covenant, some group of people or things that would seek to come after him. possibly to destroy him. Said if this happens, that we are to stand with him.
And she kind of considers this for a moment. Yes, I suppose we should.
I was not sure if he meant the entire city or just our group.
Covenant. Well, that's a term I've not heard of them called in a long time. But I suppose it's what they would send to us to take him. It may require the entire city. It may not. But we'll worry about that when the time comes.
Is it something that I should be concerned about?
Not at the moment.
What
Perhaps.
covenant did he speak of, though?
She just kind of tilts her head. There are others who do not agree with the Camarilla, as you can imagine.
Yeah. There's been a movement calling themselves anarchs recently. They've been posting flyers.
Well, there's some who strongly do not agree with the Camarilla. Violently so. But that is a conversation for another time.
Yes.
Hopefully one that we may never need to have. But you never know.
Well, we were told by the sheriff to keep this secretive, not to spread it amongst other neonates. That's what I assumed.
That is wise.
So I figured, though, that you should know, because you are not going to spread rumor at all. And you are the head of this clan in the city.
Of course.
But he will be he has asked for an audience with Prince Altanz.
Has he now?
Yeah.
Do you know if the sheriff has notified the prince?
I don't know, but I am assuming that he either, if he has not, he will very soon, as soon as he has the time.
And what actions did the sheriff wish for someone like me to take?
He did not mention any of the other Primogen. Not even another whom or not even necessarily himself.
He will have us take no action then.
At the moment, keep things amicable. Keep things in good standing with the entity in Fletcher. Let him do as he wishes.
And the masquerade?
Apollyon agreed that he would do nothing to endanger that secrecy. He wishes to learn about this world.
Very well then. She just kind of, for a moment, stares maybe listfully at the floor. Is there anything else, Mr. Braunfiedler?
Ever since the encounter, I have everything I look at, specifically in places like this, they seem not to have much meaning anymore.
How so?
encountering this Apollyon, it throws into doubts everything I have ever been taught, everything I'd ever learned.
How so?
The creation of everything, the beginnings of the world.
Was he there for the creation of everything?
I believe he was. I am not for sure, but I believe he was.
Well, that is your decision. To have your faith shaken so easily. But I do not believe he was God. For if he was, you would be a pillar of salt, Mr. Braunfiedler. A pile of ash, just from looking upon him.
Yeah. I am doing what I can to move past this impasse. Is there anything you wish me to do? Anything else you wish to know?
She just kind of, again, stands there. She seems really distracted, kind of from your conversation, like someone else is talking to her. I wish for you and the others to return soon. I'll send word. But please try to attend. I need to speak with all of you.
I will make that much known. I will do what I can.
If your faith is so shaken, perhaps you should pray. But mine is not.
Yeah.
And perhaps I will speak to this Apollyon myself. With the sheriff's permission, of course.
I believe if I went to him and made a request after assisting him with any knowledge he seeks, I believe I could arrange that for you if it is not overstepping my bounds.
She just kind of looks, again, like I said, it's very awkward. She seems distracted, and now she's not even making eye contact. No, that will not be necessary for now.
I'm going to attempt to better gauge her emotional state with an aura perception.
Okay.
So I believe that's
DC is
difficulty 8, I believe.
8, yes.
Yes. Let me just get rid of that nasty old one.
Okay.
One predominant emotion. Just describe the emotion.
She is. That's the best way to put it. I guess concerned, worry.
In that moment, if you were looking at Stefan, he would have a fearful look on his face. And he gasps.
At the audible gasp, she'll turn to him.
I see. Primogen. I share your concern. Well,
she kind of looks at you confused now. Is there anything else?
I will go to this traveler, and I will tell him, I will ask him that one of my elders wishes to speak with him, and I will ask him if that is okay.
No.
No. As you wish. And I will take my leave.
She just kind of nods.
Stefan gets up at that moment and heads back to the door, opening it very slightly, and literally sideways slithers through the opening and then closes it silently, heading back out down the hallway into the side chapel, where he will sit and pray and reflect.